Hey, what's going on, guys? Gunshed here, and welcome! So, I've just stopped off to get a paper and a bottle of whiskey from my grandfather on my way down to see him because he's a bit under the weather. So, unfortunately, there wasn't a bookshop en route, but hey ho, what do you know? So, I've been trying to crack the 200-mile day since I had my operation and I got back on the bike. I've never actually done it. Figure a trip down to Cheltenham to go and see my grandfather will be 200 miles. Well, it's 100 miles door to door. Hopefully I can do it. If not, I'm due back here to see my girlfriend tonight. And we're going out for dinner. So if I can't do it and I get tired, I'm going to be in the poo because I'm not going to get back home. I've allowed myself 3 hours, so I have time to stop for a couple of breaks for drinks and food. I'm really hoping the bottle of whiskey in the top box survives the journey. I put it inside a backpack, wrapped up in the newspaper. Otherwise, I'm going to end up with a very wet top box, an unreadable newspaper, and a load of money down the drain. So one thing my grandfather doesn't do by halves is whiskey. He's very particular about whiskey. Hopefully the sun will come out a bit later. Mind you, I'm not cold. I've got my new jacket on. You can see the bright day glow orange stripes on it. Basically, my RST ventilator jacket was not the most waterproof. I mean, it had a mesh outside and a removable waterproof lining, but I think because the lining wasn't tight to the jacket, the water got in. And I got a bit fed up of being wet. I went and bought myself a slightly better jacket, but if it leaks, I'll just take it back to Sports Bike Shop because it's technically not waterproof. And they said they would happily take it back if that was the case. So, I figured I had nothing to lose. And it's lovely and toasty. It's got 2 big zips and thermal linings and little bits for your gloves to go into that are nice and soft on your wrists. And it's all singing or dancing. Very luxurious for me. I've purposely not filled up before I left, even though it's a 200-mile journey, because the fuel in Cheltenham is about 5p less than it is at home. And I've got enough to get there, provided I don't go crazy. So it just made more sense to fill up there. Well, actually, no, he's not in Cheltenham. He's in Cirencester Hospital at the moment. Like I said, he's feeling a bit under the weather. That's why I keep saying Cheltenham. It's because I'm used to visiting him at Cheltenham. But apparently Cheltenham Hospice he couldn't get into. Right, my pin lock keeps steaming up, so I'll see you in a bit. The problem with the Foss is, if you get stuck behind something like a big lorry, there's very little you can do about getting past it, unless you're on a motorbike. What I wanted to talk about today was, do you really need more than 650cc on a motorbike? I've ridden big bikes and stuff like that, but you know, I rode the S1000 XR demo with Dad. I've ridden his a couple of times, and you know, I've ridden the Z900, which was a fantastic bike, but I don't think I'd ever buy one. The reason for me is I think that 650cc is the ideal. So I've ridden quite a few 1000cc bikes. I say a few, a couple, or more than 650 bikes. I've ridden a hell of a lot. I think it's a lot of money. I think 650s tend to be quite affordable bikes. You know, they tend not to have huge amounts of tech in them, but also, you know, they're quicker than most vehicles on the road. You know, they tend to be really economical. They're stable in strong winds. Okay, you don't have the balls-to-wall power of 1000cc, but that's why I like them, because if you accelerate hard on 1000, in the blink of an eye you're doing well over 100 miles an hour, and then you're in prison speed. Whereas with the 650, you know, you have to wind them up a little bit, and you have to think about your riding, and you don't just literally on 1000 you can just go bang, done. Whereas this, I don't know, I just find them more eventful, and because they're less powerful, just general riding I find more eventful, whereas 1000 you can just whack it in 5th gear or 4th gear and you can
do whatever. That's why I like riding smaller CC bikes.
In my mind, they are more fun to ride. Sure, I'm out on a track at thousands, great fun.
On the road where you can only do, well, national speed limit 60 mile an hour, then they're so overly powerful that there's no fun in riding them. Unless you're trying to go to prison. You know, at 650 you can bomb along on and have some brilliant fun. You still got the power to overtake. I don't know, they're powerful enough for touring on. They're powerful enough to overtake slower moving vehicles. I mean, my Honda was plenty quick enough on the roads. And that's why I've only ever bought 650s. Well, apart from 125 as my first bike. But when I was looking at bikes and things like this, I was looking at a Triumph 800. Now, they're a lot more money. And I just thought, well, what's the point? You know, I'm not fussed about all the technology on the 800. You know, whenever I ride bigger bikes and things, I start taking liberties. I don't need it. Quite happily bimbling along. You know, along this road, I don't think I could get along here any quicker if I was on 1,000, because in the real world, there's stupid people driving like lemons. You know, I have all the gadgets that I need on here. I've got a socket if I wanted a sat nav. I've got gear indicators. I've got traction control. Don't really need rider modes. They just add more weight to the bike, don't they? Fucking hell! Granted, I should have moved over a little bit. My dad hit a pheasant the other weekend coming down here. Hopefully there isn't. I think it's still on the world. Normally there's a big arts and crafts fair. And normally the tailbacks from it are horrific. So, fingers crossed it's not on. To be fair, if it is rain, that's probably quite a good thing. It'll wash my bike. It's so dirty.
Well, that is one filthy bike. Anyway, that's 100 miles down, 100 miles left to do. See you in a bit.
So, sorry for my voice is a little bit muffled. I pulled my buff right up because water was everywhere. It has been a very, very wet journey back. Very wet. So yeah, it's been a horrible, horrible journey back. So wet and damp. I didn't even bother putting the camera on, it was that bad. But we're just south of Rugby now. Grandad loved his bottle of whiskey, he was on great form. Although the nurse didn't look too approving the fact that I bought it with me. But we're doing well, and I'm not too tired. I know I've still got another 50 miles to go, and it looks like there's more rain up ahead, so if that's the case I'll turn the camera off. V-Strom's been brilliant. I'm a little bit worried about how little oil there's left on the chain. I waxed it last night. The wax is supposedly harder wearing when it's bad. But I don't think it's really done a huge amount of... Well, it hasn't really stayed on, let's put it that way. It's all washed off. Some sort of horsey thing on somewhere along the foss, so I had a load of horse boxes, playing leapfrog with those. No, all is good. I'm not as tired as I thought I was going to be.
So glad. So glad that I managed to do, or rather, oh shit, that I will manage to do this by winter. It's my final recovery goal. Right, I think I'm probably going to end the video here, guys. I mean, I've done my 200 miles, everything is good. I'm only a few miles from home, so I might as well end the video here. Thank you ever so much for watching, and take care.